Welcome back to the diner for this edition of Burgers and Fries. So glad to have you back with us, DJ. Always glad to have you with us, Pat. And of course, we have the man that if he were tasked with selling me voting for Joe Biden, couldn't sell pussy on a troop train. That's Tony.
Back once again. We've got some topics to talk about here today, don't we, Anthony?
It's just something we've all just seemed to be observing. And I decided I really wanted to bring this up because I have heard from sources saying that WWE is no longer going to make physical DVDs. That's right. So if you want to buy a DVD of WrestleMania, well, they're not going to make them anymore. And if you really want to see the main event of CM Punk and Seth Rollins this upcoming March and April, nope. You got to see it on Peacock, or as we all like to nickname it, the Cock. That's right. So, I mean, it's just a sign of the times, I guess. I can remember a time when it was a big deal to have a big CD collection, or back when I used to care about the video game collection that I had, like before all that changed. What are you guys' initial thoughts on what we consider the decline of physical media?
I kind of have two different ways to think about it. I think in certain senses, it like, I feel like, especially with movies and like TV shows, I feel like DVDs have kind of became more of a niche market nowadays and maybe doesn't fully appeal to like the average Joe, whereas like 20 years ago, everybody had DVDs. But I know in like the case of like music collectors and even book collectors, I've noticed like physical media has almost kind of risen in at least those areas. And maybe I'm a little biased towards this, but I've got a shelf of over 600 records, and every time I go into the record store, it's fairly full. There's a lot of people in there. There's probably certain elements of physical media that are still around. I think movies and TV shows and just visual media, I just don't think maybe have that kind of finesse or just kind of draw to like own it physically anymore.
And I used to have a big CD collection back when I actually was collecting CDs. But, I mean, if you really want to collect vinyl records because you actively want to listen to them, I think that's still a thing. Vinyl arguably sounds way better than if you listen to a CD. And CDs often sound way better than if you streamed a song on iTunes or whatever, because the audio isn't as compressed.
Except when the disc is dirty and the music just skips.
Or it gets scratches on it, and it's fucked, and you can't be fixed unless you take it to get one of those disc cleaners, which can fuck it up even more unless you get a go to a
they
store.
don't do jack.
Well, I have something to say about scratch discs here. I don't know if anybody of you guys remember this device called the Disc Doctor.
Oh, I had one of those.
No,
yeah.
That thing sucked. Who said they had one?
I did at one point.
Yeah, let me guess. It fucked your discs up even more.
Let me guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
The games I used to have, they were unreadable after I'd...
There are the used disc store by my house. If you use the Disc Doctor, they will not take the game. Those things were even taken off shelves. GameStop, when they had like DVD ROMs and stuff for like PS2 games and stuff, they say if you use the Disc Doctor, they would either take money off of your trade-in or they wouldn't accept the trade-in.
I have another theory as to why physical media has been in a decline, and it's because recent years they raised the price for DVDs and Blu-rays and 4K, and no one can afford them.
Yeah, and even like as a record collector, like I have noticed too, before the pandemic happened, I was able to get a lot of records for like a new sealed record for about $20. Now it's kind of more along the lines of $28 for a new record. And I think, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that have happened within that 4 years. Prices have just all gone up just for everything.
There's been a certain president overlooking that.
Yeah, it's just the prices of a lot of things have just gone up. And like even double albums, those you used to be able to get for maybe $28 to $35. You go into the store now, you're lucky to get one for $50. Like it's just the cost of all of that stuff.
Absolutely. If you want to collect vinyl records, that's fucking great, dude. I've collected all the Metallica ones, but I think that's as far as I can go. And I remember when James Hetfield being interviewed by Joe Rogan, he mentioned how his kids like to get vinyl records, but they literally will just pick the cover based on how cool the cover looks. Like not necessarily if they know what music is going to be played. Like, oh wait, I like this cover, I want this one. And one thing that he mentioned was that, Dad, you're never going to believe this. There's songs on the other side.
Yeah. And I mean, there's been certain blind buys I've done with that, but.
And then when you're going back to DVD sales, what are you going to do to make it worth buying it on DVD? Like, how many extras are you going to buy? What, behind the scenes footage, but do they include anything? Do they include any behind the scenes stuff? Like, remember how in the old days there was DVD commentary?
Oh yeah.
There would be like photo galleries.
Yeah, they got special features.
And nowadays you gotta buy Blu-ray if you want access to all of that, which is bullshit.
Or get a PS4, so you have a Blu-ray player.
Which is what I use for my movies.
Why should I have to spend my hard-earned cash for another DVD player like Blu-ray? I mean, just put all the features on regular DVD. Problem solved. You would think, but
I think it's because Blu-ray has won the physical movie market. Remember when DVDs phased out VHSs? And remember when VHSs phased out betas? I think a lot of you can agree with the sentiment that it's like, look, unless I'm physically holding this copy of WrestleMania 30 in my hand, then it's not a real copy. Even if you have access to it on streaming services or have downloaded it possibly, you don't think it's not a real copy unless you physically can see it.
Yes, I would agree.
I need to bring up a list of, so let's just say there's certain companies that have just decided, we're not going to do it. Like I'd mentioned, WWE is, so stores are no longer going to sell physical copies. So like I used to go to Best Buy all the time if I wanted to find an album or whatever. I bought a lot of heavy metal albums from Best Buy. Now they're not going to do that.
Yeah, like
remember when Netflix was a subscriber-based DVD service?
Yes. I'd get DVDs from Netflix all the time, but now they stopped doing them.
They stopped doing it. Now it's a streaming service complete with originally made shows like Black Anne Boleyn.
They're remaking The Color Purple, which looks awful, because I prefer the original over this remake.
Now, you know who else is cutting back on DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks? You know who else is cutting back on it?
Walmart?
Disney.
I think that's gonna hurt. I think that's gonna hurt them at least a little bit in the long run because, like, they don't have to make as many DVDs as they used to, but like, at least giving more to that niche market who will buy all of that stuff. I think that's gonna hurt them in the end.
And I remember back in the old days where they would advertise. It's like, oh, fresh from the vault. It's this edition of Snow White. You need to buy it now before we put it back in the vault. And that fucking worked.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I thought Disney was sticking to a new strategy to release everything first on physical media and then put it on streaming. Whatever happened to that strategy? They just changed it recently?
I don't know. I think they're just overall cutting back on the production of them. Because nowadays, with all their remakes and all their current movies being so fucking terrible, then they realize, well, not everybody's buying this, and they are, especially with D+ sales already being down.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them.
That's another example.
They release Song of the South, which will probably never happen.
Oh, they're never going to re-release that. They reskinned Splash Mountain to take out all the Song of the South references.
Is that why they got rid of Splash Mountain at Magic Kingdom?
It's still Splash Mountain. It's just not Song of the South.
Why'd they do that?
So you're not getting because of the racism associated with it.
There was no racism in that movie.
Put Princess and the Frog in it, though.
That's what they reskinned it to, I believe.
Oh my god,
But isn't that considered racist?
Okay, it's a black princess in a adaptation of The Princess and the Frog or the Frog Prince or whatever, versus a movie about a black slave or an old black slave.
What's the difference?
What do you think?
They're all the same color.
Oh, this is why we have you on, Pat.
I mean,
You need to put a sound effect for that one.
oh yeah. Hang on.
Yeah, but like,
My good.
if they were to ever release songs in the South on Blu-ray or something like that, that would be the shit. Because there's no reason for that thing to not be released on physical media.
Not under their new regime. Definitely not going to happen anytime
I
soon.
mean,
Yeah.
the whole
They'll recast-
situation
they'll recast-
is like comparing apples to oranges situation.
I really don't know how many people are offended. I really don't know how many African Americans are offended by Song of the South.
It
I
wasn't
really
even
don't know.
offensive.
Exactly.
Well, we-
Why are they calling it racist?
Because of who the main character is in that.
I thought the
Anyway.
main character was
That doesn't mean
was Johnny, not Uncle Remus.
As far as I know.
It's a stupid reason.
Okay, now sure, if you have a PlayStation 4 or any of the Xboxes or Nintendo, I believe they still do physical media and a lot of things. But what if you're a PC gamer, like I pretty much am nowadays? A lot of laptops and computers don't have disk drives anymore. So if you want to buy a game, you have to download it on Steam usually.
Either that, or you have to get like an external disk drive, which sometimes those don't always work like you want them to.
Yeah, if it's connected via USB, well, what if the USB cable breaks down, or what if the actual drive just doesn't work?
Yeah.
But this is something.
So, yeah, imagine you spent thousands of dollars on a computer, and there's no drive to play this PC game that you got a physical copy of. You need to spend another something dollars to get a drive. I think that's stupid.
Yeah, and it's a waste of money to have to buy a new console for every time they come out with these new games.
I agree. The latest console that I actually own right now is a PS3, because when the PS4 came out, there was not a single game that made me want to get it. And I decided I am not going to buy one game console for a single game. My gaming library is on my PC. It is what it is.
I mean, why can't they just put these new games with, your console?
They stopped doing product support for the old consoles. Like, they stopped making the old consoles in production.
Why?
I just wish that I don't know, but I just wish the newer consoles were backwards compatible with the older consoles. I remember when the PS3 came out, it was not backwards compatible with the PS2. So all those PS2 games I could no longer play anymore unless I rebought the PS2.
Actually, the first 80 gigabyte models were backwards compatible for both PS1 and PS2.
Yes, and you know how fast those things sold out?
Very,
very fast. They were near impossible to get, or if you tried to get one, they would be from some second-party seller that would jack up the price.
But change isn't always necessarily good. Like, why should we have to upgrade? I mean, if anything, they shouldn't be doing this to us. Put us through all this torture just to go out and buy a new console for every time they come out with new games.
Because they know that people like Tony will pay for it.
But it's a waste of money.
Is it a waste of money, Tony? Do you?
No, not a waste of money.
There you go. There's your argument right there, Pat.
Yeah.
You say it's a waste of money. Tony says it isn't. But again, Tony's a gamer. Pat's not. It's like, Pat, you can tell me, well, why should I spend money for a telescope? Well, do you use a telescope? No. Well, I do. So I spend money on telescope shit.
Touche.
Tony, very clearly explain why you prefer physical media, because I give you shit all the time when, I want the Cowabunga collection. Well, just get it on Steam. No, I want the physical copy. I want to play Shredder's Revenge. I'll play you. Okay, get it on Steam. We'll play each other. No, I want the physical copy. So why do you always insist on getting the physical copies of these things?
Well, there's multiple reasons why. First big reason, if your console breaks and stuff, like a PS4, PS3 breaks, you can just transfer the data over to the next console, and you won't worry about losing your data or anything like that. I know this when I got a slim PS4. I didn't have to re-download the game and lose all my data. I just put the game in and boom, my saved files were still there.
Okay, but I was able to transfer all of my my game save data from Fallout 4 from one PC to the next because it was already on Steam Cloud.
Well, I'm talking about like console wise, not computer.
Yeah, but you're saying, oh, well, I can do this with a console. Well, guess what? I can do it virtually in a PC too.
Another reason why is that I'm just more of a I like to collect physical copies of games. I'm a big collector of these types of games. I like to collect them. I like to put them on my shelf. I like to put the disc in and take the disc out.
I can understand that.
When you know how LucasArts or whatever company decided to make those Star Wars compilations for the PS4 and Xbox One and stuff. Do you remember? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not.
Well, they released a dual pack of Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy and Republic Commando and Episode 1 Racer. And there were 2 games in one. So you're buying those games for the price of one instead of having to spend more on a PSN store. You just get the combination right there for the price of one. And on the same disc too.
Though I remember getting the MGS HD collection digitally downloaded, and it was all in one bundle, not separate.
Well, that's Konami.
I know. I gotta give you counter arguments on this, buddy.
Oh, well, thank you.
Guys, anything else you want to talk about when it comes to physical media before the kitchen gets closed? Yes.
Yes. I think another reason why physical media is important is because, unlike streaming, you basically own the movies. When it comes to physical media, and when it comes to streaming services, like
not according to copyright people. Even if you own the physical copy, you're only allowed to watch it. You're not allowed to rip it from the computer and then put it on a YouTube clip.
No, I'm not
copyright stricken.
Like, what I mean is, like, if when it comes to streaming services like Disney Plus, they'll censor out a lot of things. But with physical media, you pretty much get access to all the uncensored stuff. Like, remember that infamous scene from the Santa Claus with Tim Allen, the 1-800-SPANK-ME scene? Well, that was cut out from Disney Plus. But if you have it on physical media, it's there.
Another reason why having the physical copy of Star Wars Episode 4 is better is because it doesn't have McClucky on it.
Oh yes.
Who?
What the hell was the point of that?
Who's McClucky?
When the scene where Han Solo shoots Greedo.
Oh yeah.
Remember how they changed it, and then for whatever reason, the Disney Plus version has Greedo shout McClucky before Han shoots him.
I wouldn't remember.
Yeah.
I asked, what was the point of that? What is McClucky supposed to be Macaulay Culkin or something?
I think it was supposed to be Greedo saying "oh shit" in his own language or something.
Oh.
Like you could totally tell it was way out of place and not originally part of the movie.
Yeah.
Lastly, when it comes to physical media, there are some movies that aren't on streaming you have in your collection. Like, Disney Plus doesn't have Drew Carey's Geppetto, but I have it in my collection on a VHS tape.
Yeah.
And Angels in the Outfield with Danny Glover and Tony Danza and Christopher Lloyd, I have on DVD. They don't have it on Disney Plus.
You are correct. I remember searching for Angels in the Outfield on Disney Plus because I actually have a soft spot for that movie.
Yes.
But you know what I did? But you know what I did after I couldn't find it on Disney Plus?
What?
I just found a way to stream it. It is extremely easy to find a movie that's not available for free on any streaming services, and you can find them. Just saying.
Yep. Easy to find.
Very easy to find.
Yeah. And I guess if I were to kind of add some closing thoughts to kind of to piggy off a little bit of what Pat was talking about, as far as like not every streaming place having a certain movie. Same thing goes with music too, and it's also a thing too where we've noticed on just all streaming platforms that not everything on there is going to be there for forever. There's countless records I have that are not on streaming, or I've got like CDs of local punk bands that eventually like fade out and they're just not on streaming because they're too obscure. I think that's one thing I also just like about having physical media is you'll never get it taken away from you. unless you sell it.
Or unless some communist bastard says, no, it's our property now.
Yeah, they would have to pry my record collection out of my cold dead hands for that to happen to me.
Yeah, me too.
Amen to
Yep.
that.
Amen.
So with that said, the diner is closed. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition. And if you are new, please like and subscribe and join our Discord server if you want to talk to us and potentially become a panelist. I'm Desert Coyote 22. Thanks for listening.